think I would be talking about again, but yet here we are. The game that cost $100 million to make, that
way more than 100.
100 million that we thought that made about 1 million in sales. It sold roughly around 23,000 or so. It had no more than about 600 and some people on Steam at one time, and then had like double digits after the initial launch. A game that has universally been crowned the worst failure in gaming history at this point.
Hold my beer. I can do better.
Yeah. Or worse.
It gets better.
Better for us making content, worse for them.
It's like, oh, you thought we were done. No, that you thought that was rock bottom. We brought dynamite, so
we can break bedrock in Minecraft. Give us a minute.
About this is that Concord costs about $400 million.
Can you turn it up a little?
That is as high as I can get it.
Oh, dang. Sorry.
If you want to hear it, we'll all be quiet. But turn up your browser volume.
About this
How's that?
Is that
yeah,
Concord costs about $400 million to make.
That there, holy shit, $400 million.
Yeah.
To make Concord, and the
it doesn't go as far as it used to.
The worst part is, I think PlayStation was literally banking on this to push sales of the joke that is the PS5 Pro. How much you want to make a bet? This was supposed to be their push for the PS5 Pro.
It was going to be their launch title. That makes sense.
Because they had this thing where they were showing off the PS5 Pro, and I can't remember where I heard it, but apparently they cut a chunk of it out. How much you want to make a bet? That bit that they cut out was Concord related.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this right now. It's game development's one of those weird birds where a lot of people are like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But in gaming and game development, you don't have a choice. You basically have to do one project, then make enough money to finance the next.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, just like in the movie industry, you don't have a next product.
But yeah, like they had controllers for this thing. They paid, or I guess they paid for Amazon to produce an episode of a show that doesn't come out until December for this thing. They were going all in on Concord. And then they bought the studio, Firewalk, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Firewalk, I think, apparently had already put like 200 mil into the project.
Yeah, I think he talks about it in the video.
And then they put in another 200 mil on top of that because, like, in 18 months out from release, it wasn't ready.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you wanted to play the video or if you just
yeah, I can do that.
There's this term in product development, not only with games, but really with everything. You can like manufacture a tchotchke. You guys might have heard of it. It's called minimum viability or a minimum viable product.
Which studios have been doing a lot of lately, especially the AAA, and they need to stop.
Yeah, that's base game, and then all of a sudden there are patches throughout the...
It was that one Call of Duty game or whatever it was, where they were like, here's the multiplayer. The rest of it? Yeah, we're working on it, and then they finally released like the last bit of that entire game 3 months out before launching the next one.
That's just what you want,
It's just like, guys, really?
These incomplete games, they're just...
It's Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite launching incomplete.
Yeah. Oh, I was pissed.
Oh.
And then they're like, co-op might not come. And I'm like, the fuck you mean it might not come?
Which game was it that promised stuff and then said, never mind, we're not doing it? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Blizzard and Overwatch 2. The whole reason to buy Overwatch 2 was because they were adding PvE, and in order for it to work, you had to purchase Overwatch 2 to properly play it, and then it barely came out with any, right? And then months, I guess like a year or so later, whenever it was, they were like, "Oh, guys, by the way, we that PvP or PvE idea, we shelved that last year. We're not doing it." It's like, really, Blizzard? Are you fucking kidding me?
And here's the thing: I think class action lawsuits need to start happening when these companies do this crap, because they're promising a product and not delivering it. Like,
oh yeah,
like
the idea behind
oh, go ahead.
okay.
this, or MVP. The idea behind this is that this is like what you're trying to achieve, and it's like once you cross this barrier, you feel comfortable selling it. It's not that it's the best it can be, or that it's what it's going to be by the time you launch it, because there's all sorts of extra stuff you do to it. But like, this is the minimum viability of the product. When the game had already had $200 million spent on it and was basically in an alpha form in quarter one of 2023, from that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. The scuttlebutt behind the scenes about Concord
Real quick.
is that
essentially what they did was they released the alpha, if I'm understanding that right.
No,
and then
the alpha was last year.
Yeah.
They didn't release it last year.
Oh, okay. No, just the way he said that, it sounded like he was saying that.
Yeah, but it took them 7 years to get to an alpha state.
Yeah.
7 years to get that trash heap to an alpha state.
The game was in a laughable shape when it was shown, and basically like when the alpha was ready to go, and they were kind of being like, we're ready to kind of get moving towards getting this thing out in the next year or two. It was in such horrible shape that Sony felt like they needed to spend that much money again. So, 200 plus 200 to get the game to the MVP status, not to the status of it being like a great game, to get it to just viability. And that at that time in quarter one, 2023, there was nothing done. Like, a major expense was having to urgently outsource much of the game to other studios to finish building the game out.
Wait, they outsourced it?
Yeah.
To other people to help?
Yeah.
Where the fuck did this money go?
Dude.
Because they didn't have any like A-lister stars soaking up this money. It's not like they had Robert Downey Jr. doing the voiceovers or anything.
So, when you're building something from scratch, it takes a certain amount of time and planning and everything like that. But when you're like riding your car down the street and something falls off and you have to fix it really fast, you don't care what it costs anymore. You will pay the premium because your car is about to blow up. So it seems like they had their schedule, because they wanted this to at least be out in time for, what is it? PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah.
They were really excited about having it on PlayStation 5 Pro, and they wanted it to have already been like a thing by then. So clearly they had a schedule that they had to meet. And if it was in such a bad state, it seems like they had to say, this company is not going, either A, does not have the skill, or 2, does not have the time to get all of this stuff done in time.
Did anybody pick up on what he just put down though about
they were making accessories to sell based on Concord?
What did you hear, Chad?
I heard that he just said that before they outsourced it, they didn't make any progress on the game for years.
Yeah.
That's when you fire that entire studio. I'm sorry, but
wait, was it for years?
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like. Now, I'm not sure if they're saying that, if he's like saying I don't know what that means. They didn't make any progress. What, did somebody die? Like, what happened exactly? I mean, these people weren't in like cryogenic state.
They were probably busy with DEI meetings. Let's be real.
To other studios to finish. A major expense was having to game to get it to just viability, and that at that time in Q1 2023 there was nothing done.
Quarter 2023, nothing was done.
Yeah.
Okay, so at least for a quarter, they didn't do a whole lot.
That's 3 months of getting a paycheck and doing fuck all.
I don't understand.
They had to
listen.
Means. I know what happened. Their trash can robot needed pronouns, and they were fighting amongst each other which ones they were going to use for 3 months.
Now that could have been a thing. It could have been where they were trying to talk about their ideological shift and what they wanted to do, where they wanted to go with this. So, you know, the actual technical work wasn't being done because they were talking more about the philosophical ideas behind it. You know, should we have pronouns? And I don't think that we should have women that are actually attractive, and there should be absolutely no white men. Well, okay, maybe we can have one white man. Okay, so yeah, going back and forth and arguing about that kind of stuff. So it's possible that that's what they were doing. I really do not know how you do nothing and get paid. Like,
I don't know how you could do that for 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think that, but Sony was super benevolent like that.
Sony, give me money.
I know, right?
I can do nothing for 3 months.
A major expense was having to urgently outsource much of the game to other studios to finish building the game out. And that two fundamental things were not worked on at all up to the point in which the game was shown in alpha. Onboarding, nothing about that. No, like there was nothing about how players get on, like how they make their character, all that kind of stuff, or, you know, choose their character and get there. And monetization. Two very expensive, very specific and boutique things that happen to games like this. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to say, is that it's not only about the ongoing cost, which would be in the millions to keep the game going per month, but that the game cost about $400 million to make, soup to nuts.
I can't get over the fact that it costs that much.
Make it stop.
Make it stop.
That guy at the bottom is having the same reaction I am. He's like, what the fuck? Like, you can just see it in his face. He's like, this is insane. And what kills
I don't know
me
who
about
that guy is in the upper right, but he kind of looks like Chris Ray-Gun.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway.
What kills me about this whole fiasco is that dumb fucks online will defend this kind of bloat. And
and that's the thing. It is bloat, probably.
Yeah,
a lot of
100%.
that money, or a lot of the money on AAA budgets is due to fucking bloat. You got like Twitter X out here.
Oh, but we got to pay $70 fucking.
Elon comes in, he cuts them by like 85% workforce, and it's working just fine.
And makes it profitable.
And it's making it more profitable now because it wasn't beforehand.
No, it was hemorrhaging
cut out
money.
The bullshit. I mean, sure, it still has its quirks or whatnot here and there, but you know, he cut the staff by like 85%, and it's still functioning just fine. And a lot of these game studios,
and now he's coming for the U.S. government. I'm happy.
Shoot, who was it who just fired like 3% of their workforce? It was one of the studios, and it amounted to like 25K or 2.5K thousand, or people. And it's just like, that's 3% of your workforce. Holy shit!
Microsoft.
Why are there so many?
Well, see, the thing is, though, remember, our country was doing pretty well. The world was doing pretty well economically a certain period of time ago. And that's when you see, when things are going well and there's a lot of dollary dues, and someone says, hey, we should hire this. And you go, all right, sure, we have the dollars. Incautious people will do that. So, like, right now, things are getting tight. And all of a sudden, everybody starts going, do we really need that? And the answer invariably comes back no. And you know what? Actually, you're doing less than you actually should be doing. You're doing 60% of an actual job. I need you to do 100% of an actual job.
Or
and so a
less.
lot of companies are seeing that. I mean, I'm seeing that at my company right now. We lost,
I mean,
I want to say like 10 to 15% of our workforce in the last 2 months, because we had a new CEO come on, because we were basically bleeding out as a company, because we had a lot of VPs, a lot of people, like entire departments that were just not necessary. It's like, look, we don't have enough steady work for this. This should be a contractor sort of thing. You get a lot of bloat when you've got a lot of money, when you've got a lot of cash on hand, and you're not really concerned about that kind of thing. That's when you get people in there who will waste your time and waste your money. And it sounds like that's what happened. We got very inefficient people in these positions. And it didn't matter as much though, because nobody was getting pinched, you know. But now that people are starting to actually feel that pinch, and these games are starting to bomb, both of those things together, bad economy and games bombing, they can't afford this anymore. They can't afford to be silly.
Which is good, because maybe they'll make a half-decent game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
we got that rash of TikTok videos of all those ladies talking about this is a day at the work at Google.
Oh, that pissed me off so much.
Day at TikTok.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and then I wake up and I'm in the office by 10, and first we get our chai latte and our cucumber water, and Manuel is here with fresh hot towels every morning, and then I go to a meeting for 30 minutes, and then we're going to go up here and we meditate for an hour, and then here's the pool, and we're going to lounge out here and answer some emails, and it's just like,
and look, there's Tom over there internalizing his misogyny
for that. And you effectively do nothing all damn day.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, and the thing is that this is what happens when you have a lot of money. You become a silly society. You become a silly company even. And we're just finding that that's not going to fly any longer, because we need people that actually do things.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this video is totally hidden. So I literally just uploaded this.
That's why I thumbed it up.
Just to confuse everybody.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Chad, to your point where you're saying maybe they'll make good games. Well, I think that's kind of that in a paraphrase of the cycle. What is it? Hard
good
times. Yeah, basically hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times. Basically, hard times make good games. That's what we're going to get.
Because people are kicking and screaming into the night. What was that one developer's name, or what was she the developer of, who was all pissed off because her game failed?
Dustborn?
You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to put that down.
I think it was Concord's chick, and she was going on about how if this keeps up, there'll never be any games anymore, or something like that.
Yep.
And it's like,
they will be. Though.
I mean,
no, it was artist on Concord.
Yeah, and the lead artist or something. Mm-hmm. And, it's like, no, there will be. We still have a backlog of fantastic games we can keep ourselves busy with.
Yeah.
But if companies want to stay afloat, they're going to have to start making games that people like. And when they look at things like, how Helldivers started, Space Marines, Power World, all these good games, Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff, and see what they did, they're going to have to go, we need to do what they're doing.
Yeah. And the thing is that they are going to have to step up their game so much more. Again, the same thing that went on with companies is the same thing that went on with we, the consumers. We had a lot of disposable income. So we were like, you know what? Yeah, I could, this game looks like it might be kind of interesting. I'm willing to risk 10, 20, 30, maybe even $40 on it because I have it. But right now, people are like, I'm worried about if I'm going to be eating ramen for the next 6 months. So I don't have a whole lot of dollar reduced to throw away on garbage. Your game better be really good. Cannot miss. Will cry myself to sleep if I miss it for me to actually put down the dollars to do it. This is actually a sacrifice now to purchase games. These are luxuries. And when you're worried more about practical things, you don't have time for luxury. You don't have the resources for luxury. So yeah, if you want people to part with their hard-earned money when they have precious little of it, you're gonna have to make it good. You know, so all of these things combined, hopefully we'll get good games. But yeah, times will make for good games out of necessity, because we're not going to buy nonsense. We don't have the money for nonsense. We're like, oh no, I could.
We're talking about increasing prices yet again, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, if you don't spend $400 million on the game, you don't need to increase those prices at all.
Yeah, they're still in that mindset of when we had a lot in the time of silly money, and it's not that time anymore. They're gonna need to like move that aside.